Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Guitar by Jagminder. In the previous video we learned about Manuscript book, uh, the lines on it, the spaces on it, and also types of beats or rhythm patterns, and also types of notes. In this video we will learn about what those lines on the Manuscript book or the music book are called, and also an introduction to the first string of the guitar. So if you remember, we have 5 lines on the Manuscript book, and if you recall, this is called a treble clef. So treble clef basically shows that we are going to write the treble notes on these lines, right? So the line at the bottom is called the first line. This is the second line. This is the third line. This is the fourth line, and this is the fifth line. Right, and between any two lines there is a space, so we call this as first space. This is called second space, third space, and fourth space. Right, so there are some notes, musical notes, which are assigned to these lines and spaces. So in music typically we have 7 notes: A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? And after G, we again repeat the same sequence, right? So it goes back to A, B, C, and so on. There are a few notes in between, any two notes here. We will talk about it in our advanced lessons, right? For now, these are our main notes, right? So we take these notes, and these notes are assigned on these lines and spaces. So first line is called E, right? And as you see here, we go in ascending order. So that means the next place, which is actually a space between these two lines, the first line and the second line, would be called F, right? And hence, the second line is called G, and the second space is called A, and then the third line is called B, the third space is called C, the fourth line is called D, the fourth space is called E, and the fifth line is called F. What are these lines and spaces? These basically lines and spaces are used for individual strings on the guitar. We will talk about it in few minutes when we start the first string of the guitar. So if I have to put them in a category, so we have lines and spaces. So our first line is called E, second line is called G, third line is called B, fourth line is called D, and fifth line is called F. Same goes with spaces. It's very easy to remember spaces. F, A, C, E. Typically, if you look at it, it's called face, right? It's easy to remember, right? It is important to remember these lines and spaces. It's going to help us, read musical notations pretty quick. All right, we just talked about lines and spaces, and now we're going to talk about the first string on the guitar, right? So this is an acoustic guitar which I have, right? So this is a 6-string acoustic guitar, and the strings, the way they are allocated, they are the thinnest one, this is called the first string on the guitar, right? And it has the highest frequency on the guitar. And the one above is called the second, and this is the third string, this is the fourth, fifth, and sixth, right? So on a guitar, there are, as you see, each string has frets. These are called frets, this is my first fret, this is my second fret, third fret, fourth, fifth, and so on, right? I'm going to have a dedicated video on parts of the guitar where I'll just describe each part and what they are called. But for now, for reference, these are our frets. So each string has predefined uh, notes and corresponding frets to it, right? There are more combinations as well, but if you talk about from a high level, these are the main notes and the allocated frets, right? So for example, on the first string, this is my open. When I'm not pressing any fret here, I'm playing it as an open string, right? And if I press the first fret, right, it has a particular note assigned to it, and so on, right? Second, third, fourth, and fifth, and so on, right? But if we talk about the main frets allocated on the first string are open position, the first fret, the third fret, and the fifth fret, right? So we're going to talk about these now. All right, I just showed you the first string and its notes on the guitar, which are open, first fret, third fret, and the fifth fret, right? So we're going the lines and spaces which I covered a while back. We're going to use those lines and spaces to allocate notes to the first string, right? So if you remember the first line here, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, and F, right? So primarily these are our 5 lines and 4 spaces, but there are few notes which are written below the first line and above the 5th line, right? So we're going to use those. I'm going to tell you how those works. And when we write notes, right, and when we talk about allocating notes from the first string, second, third, and so on, we basically learn it from 5th line to 1st line, right? It's backward, right? It's going to make more sense once we do second string, third string, fourth string, and so on. But for now, we will do top to bottom, right? All right. So as I mentioned, first string has open, first fret, third fret, and the 5th fret, right? What are the notes assigned to those frets, and how do we read them, right? So if you recall, our 4th space is called E. If you remember the spaces we talked about, F, A, C, E, where F was the first space, A was the second, C was the third space, and E was the 4th space, right? So we write open position on the first string as E, and the next note, which is on the line, the 5th line, if you remember, that was F. Now this is the first fret, right? Right, first fret. So, and which finger do we use? So we basically, if I talk about my left hand here, so I'm a right hand guitarist, so I do my strumming and playing with my right hand, and I use my left hand to press the the frets, the strings on the fretboard, right? So this is my index finger is called the first finger, right? And this is my middle finger, right? This is called the second finger, and my third finger, which is my ring finger, is the third finger, and the smallest one, which is the pinky finger or the little finger, is called the 4th finger, right? So we press first fret with our first finger, right, which is my index finger, right? And then I press, okay, so these are the notes we are aware of, right, from the lines and spaces. Okay, we just talked about the open note and the first fret note on the first string. Now we're going to talk about the 3rd fret, right, which I showed you earlier, right? So how is that written? So the next note, which is actually not in the lines and spaces, since it is outside line, that is why it's not covered in lines and spaces, is basically written just above the 5th line, like this, What will this be called? This will be called G. If you look, we are going ascending order: E, F, and G, and this is my third fret. And which finger I'm going to use? I'm going to use my third finger, which is my ring finger. Right? So far we have learned about the open position, the first fret and the third fret on the first string, right? So the last note on the first string is the fifth fret, right? And that is written as, which is above the fifth line, and it is a note above the fifth line with a cross, right? That's how it is written. Okay, so this is, of course, if you look at the sequence here, so open position is E, first fret is F, third fret is G, hence the fifth fret will be the next note in the music notations, and it's called A, right? And this is my fifth fret, and it played with the fourth finger, which is my pinky finger or my little finger, right? So if I have to quickly show you how I play that. So this is my first string, the thinnest one, right? So this is my open position. So if I take my first finger and press it on the first fret, it has to be in middle of these two, right? And this is my first fret. And then if I talk about the third fret, I use my third finger or my ring finger to press the third fret, right? And the fifth fret is to be pressed with the little finger, right? So on the music book, when I see a note which is on the fourth space, right, I know that I have to play open, right? It could be any type of note. So if you remember, we talked about 4 types of notes. A hollow note, this is a hollow note, it's a 4-beat note, right? So where we play the first beat and the remaining 3 beats we count. So if I see a note like this, I will play it as 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the next note, right? So, and if I see this note, a note which is written on the 5th line, I should know that this is an F, and I have to press the first fret on my first finger with my first finger, right? And it's a hollow note, so I should be playing 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? And then if I see a note above the 5th line, right, I should know that this is a G, and I have to play 3rd fret on my first finger with my 3rd finger. Again, so it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And then if I see a note above the 5th line, which is seen as this one, and it has a cross, right? I should know that this is a 5th fret on my first finger, which I have to play with my 5th fret on my first string, which I have to play with the 4th finger, right? So again, I have to play it as 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So if I have to play the sequence looking at the note, I should be playing it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So this is a very simple sequence here, but when we talk about a song, it will have a lot of notation, right? It will be occupying all the lines and spaces, and few notes above the 5th line and few notes below the first line, right? So we have to train our mind so that when we read a note, we should be able to identify its position on the guitar, on the fretboard, and also what type of note it is, right? Is it a 4-beat note or a single beat note where I have to play each note, or if it's a 2-beat note where I have to play the first beat and the second beat I'm counting and not playing, or if it's a half beat note. right? Accordingly, a song can be played by looking at the notes, right? So that's about the lines and spaces and the first string on the guitar, right? And in the coming lesson, we'll talk about second string and subsequent strings, and with a little bit more music theory. I hope you like this lesson, and if you know someone who is interested in learning guitar in the proper way, reading the staff notations, as I mentioned, these are called staff notations, right? Please do share this link with them, and I'll be coming up with more videos soon. All right. For now, thank you so much for watching, and have a good one.